All right. All right, I think we're live. 9 people are already there. Hello. That is so weird for me because I cannot see you guys. I can only see me. I guess that's what happened to you too. Can you guys write me something in the chat, like a hello or a thumb up or something, that I know who can actually interact with us? Because you can only write in the chat when you have a YouTube account. That would be great. Let's see if it's on. Well, I got 4 thumbs up. That's already something. Yes, wonderful. Thank you. The first person. Yes. Awesome. Hello, guys. Wonderful.
Duchies. I like duchies.
So, can you hear us okay? If at any point in this webinar, in this talk, you don't understand, or you're like, we're hanging because our internet connection isn't that great, because we do live at the edge of the forest, let us know, and we will keep. I will keep reading the chat as Pete will get you through the exercise. I hope you all got the message. So you should have your phone ready next to you, and with the phone, you should have Google Maps and Maps.me downloaded. Maps.me, don't get shocked. There's like a paid version, but it's the easy version.
It's a free one that you can use. It's really straightforward. So anything else you want to go through there, Lou?
Yeah, I think we're gonna give it a few more minutes because it's only 1 minute after, and I know I'm German, so I was on time, and you guys as well. But if we have a few Pete's here watching, they'll probably just jump in a little bit later.
Right. So I probably should explain right from the bat, off the bat, why I'm better at nav than Louisa.
He thinks.
I do.
And
I think that there's plenty of evidence to support that fact. I wrote my notes for this webinar 5 minutes ago. They took me 5 minutes to make, just chucked them down on a piece of paper. I have been doing this for a very, very, very long time, and it's just bread and butter stuff. I just poured myself a nice vodka and Red Bull. Red Bull makes me quite talkative. So yeah, I'm relaxed, but Lou's been stressed all afternoon. And I think that a big part of good navigation is just relaxing into it, not being stressed, and focusing on what I think is the most important thing. And I have a little acronym for that. I know there's plenty of people out there that have their "What would Jesus do" little bracelets and things like that. And I served with an amazing chap called Stephen J. O'Hagan. And Stephen, whenever things were bad, he would always say, you know, what would Stephen J. O'Hagan do? And the answer is always relax. So learning to relax and not stress about your nav is important, but it's not as important as what would Anderson Silva do? Now, Anderson Silva is a mixed martial arts fighter. He's one of the greatest fighters that's ever lived. And hello, whoever just said hi, everyone. He's one of the greatest mixed martial arts fighters ever. And his philosophy is move like water. Now, when it comes to navigation, I want to move like water. I don't look at the map and think A to B, let's go this way, let's look at this, let's do this. I look at it as finding the path of least resistance. And I think it's a really important thing to do as a horseman and as a person, as a husband. Your job is to remove obstacles from the path of the horse, from the path of the marriage, from the path of life. We want to find a way where the horse and you can basically just run like water downhill. Water wants to go in a straight, smooth line, gentle gradient, and that's our job. Now, when it comes to obstacles, we'll get into that a bit more in a minute, but your job is not to overcome obstacles. Any idiot can walk their horse across a motorway. Any idiot can walk it through a town. You can cross rivers. You can do all sorts of things. Horses are incredibly capable. They can go up and down stairs. They can go over rocky parts of mountains and things. But our job is to facilitate smooth, flowing travel as long riders, because we have to think 1 day ahead, 2 days ahead, 7 days ahead, a month ahead. And so our job is to remove obstacles, think like Anderson Silva, think like Stephen Jay, relax, and just flow like water. Does that make sense? Just as an opener?
You can ask. It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
There we go. We got
Yeah.
some hats.
So
before I let Pete really get into it, the reason why we ended up like doing this webinar and we're working on an online course is I only realized recently how many thought processes Pete goes through during the navigation. He spends a lot of time on his phone, but we have spent over 10,000 kilometer long riding together, and
it's a lot more than that, Louisa.
I said over
twice that. Yeah.
And the fact that we have struggled so little with night spots, with food, like with roads where we had to turn around for the amount of kilometers we did, is really for me amazing. And I started asking Pete more and more questions, and before I was just like, nah, I would be really good in navigation, but the more I actually started to understand what Pete considers as he does the navigation, the more I realized there's a lot to learn. So we are hoping that you can learn something from Pete today, and he will go through what he has prepared for you guys. And at the end, you can ask all your questions, so save them. If you don't understand something, write it in the comments. And then I would say, Pete, tell us all about navigation.
What would Stephen Jay do, Louisa? Because that's what you need to do right now.
Relax. I'm going to sit back, relax, and let Pete take over.
Righto. So the thing about navigation, I was very good at navigation from about 6 years on in Cub Scouts. And could we please stop the dog chewing the bone?
Yeah.
It's quite distracting. Cub Scouts is where I learned navigation. I learned a lot more when I was hunting as a professional hunter in Australia and in New Zealand. I also learned plenty about navigation in the military. But my strong point was always not looking at the map like a person, but looking at the map like an animal. And in particular, I remember one time in Waiouru, we had 10 navigation points to get through during a day. I was actually the only person that got them all done. And the reason I got it done is because I did what I thought was cheating. I just followed the horses. Waiouru in central New Zealand, the army training area, it's full of wild horses. And the horses knew the shortest way between everything. Maybe not the shortest, but the easiest way. And that's where my whole navigation sort of philosophy comes from. So when we're working with a horse, the very first thing I do, before I even look at the map, I don't consider the map at all. I consider my team. And that starts with my partner, and that's a no-brainer. She's a gangster. She's as tough as nails. And even if she is having a terrible time, she will suck it up because she doesn't want to be a weak link. Now, horses are exactly the same as Louisa, and everyone that's got a horse knows exactly what I'm talking about there. A horse will not want to be left behind. It will let you ride it into the ground. So you have to stop. You have to think about how hard have the bugs been on the horse for the last few days? What kind of food has the horse had access to in the last few days? How many kilometers have you done? Think about the last 24 hours, the last 7 days, the last 28 days, and genuinely take the time to assess the condition of your horse, the condition of your team, before you even look at a map. That is absolutely critical. And the next thing you need to consider straight away is, what food can I get my horse today? What access to water can I provide for my horse today? And how can I best ensure not just the basic needs, but the essential needs for my horse are met today in such a manner that my horse is ready to continue for tomorrow, for the rest of the week, for the rest of the month, and in certain cases for the rest of the journey, which may be 6 months, a year. So before you even consider the map, you need to say, what am I working with today? And for us, we're working with 2 hot Arabs that are good to go for 30, 40 kilometers all day, every day. But how are their feet? How are their shoes? How is the saddle fitting? When did you last check the saddle fit? When did you last wash the girth? And this is stuff that I factor into my navigation every single day. And it is so easy to focus on the map, but your movement across that map is affected by factors that you need to take the time to stop and assess. And this is why we don't have the problems with navigation that many others do, because I'm focused on all of the factors that affect the planning for the day. So that takes us on through to our goals for the day. Like, what do you want to achieve?
Can I just jump in? So, like what you're talking now, is you do the navigation each day, or how do you, like, just tell us a little bit how you do the navigation, because you just talked about the last 7 hours.
Relax, Stephen J. I'm not at navigation yet. I'm at the factors that affect the decisions I make when planning the route. So the navigation comes last. Navigation is going to be the smallest part of this entire webinar. So we look at our goals. What is it we want to achieve? First thing chill, oh my God, the dog. What do I want to achieve throughout the day? You know what? I want to get a beer in at lunch. I want a burger. I mean, if we're in France, I want a guest house. I want a guest house that's got grass around it. So I'll start looking on the map, doing a map recce. I'll be using Google Earth. I'll be using Maps.me. I'll be Googling guest houses, bars, things like that. Okay. That's a goal for me for the day. I want a good lunch spot, and I want 3 hours where I can take the saddle off. Please, Chili, please, in your basket. I want to take the time to, yeah. Sorry, Jill's being a pain. She has to be involved in everything. So lunch, do I need food? Do I need like a resupply from a supermarket? I'll look for that if need be. I obviously want to find a night location. So I'll be looking, I use Maps.me. Maps.me is fantastic. Google, will search equestrian center or equestrian sports is one of the best things on Maps.me. That will pop up. It'll pop up with a little dot showing you all of the equestrian centers that are within 30 kilometers. So you've got a basic idea of the direction you want to go. Talking about goals, we sort of want to go that way. Let's look for some night spots. Let's look for some guest houses and things like that. Now, obviously, this is different everywhere you are. If you're in the middle of the wilderness, obviously very different. If you're in Europe, it's, you know, you sort of structure it to what you're looking for during the day. Another thing I consider is points of interest. There's a lot of interesting stuff throughout Europe. There are tons of cool things to see and do. There's cool lakes, there's cool castles, things like that. Do I want to go past a castle? Maybe. Sometimes I do. Scenic considerations, viewpoints, they're all marked on Maps.me. It'll have a little binoculars icon. Same with Google Earth and that. These are considerations that I make before I really get started with my navigation. I know my horse. I've had to think about my horse. I've had to think about my team. I'm putting together a mental picture. Okay, we're good to go. We're good for 50 Ks today if need be. I'd like to do 30 Ks. There's a castle with a bar 20 kilometers away. I want to get up a little bit earlier. I want to get to the bar. I want to have a good 3 hours, saddles off. So if we start at 8, that gets us in at 12. And then there's an equestrian center, another sort of 15 Ks further on. That gives us a 35K day, 5 kilometers an hour over 7 hours. 7 hours is about what I want to ride for the day. I don't like to go over 7 hours. And that's how I start to formulate the thinking before I even pick up the map, okay? So we're nowhere near maps yet. We're just focusing on considerations for the navigation. So then I go straight to the worst case scenario. Now, I think it's really important to balance your goals with your reality. Now, there's so many things that affect movement on horseback that just, they're a non-consideration on a bike, a motorbike, or a car. So the sort of obstacles that we have to deal with regularly, the worst, I've got to be honest, it's roads. Roads are just awful, especially in Italy, where everyone is drunk, doing 3 times the speed limit, and have a very loud car. So factor in your thinking about that. You know, I mean, have I got rivers coming up? What's the weather going to be like? Is there a storm coming? We're in the Dolomites in September, notorious for thunderstorms. I want to cut my days short. Has there been a storm that's knocked trees down? In Austria, a big storm came through 3 days ahead of us, and we had one of our worst days where we covered 3 kilometers in 5 hours. It was just impossible to move through the destroyed forest. So I look at at what do I know about what's going to be in my path. And one of the other things you need to consider here is the legality of your travel. Uh, can you use the bike lanes? Like, is it going to be illegal? I mean, in Austria in particular, there's so many places that there's private property where people hunt. So you need to be aware of, can I actually legally ride my horse through here? Now, a lot of the time, even when you can't legally ride your horse through there, you just go anyway, okay? But what's going to happen if I ride my horse through here illegally? Am I going to be told to just leave? Am I going to be arrested? Consider all of the worst case scenarios and consider the terrain. Above all else, consider the terrain, because paths that look absolutely fantastic through the Alps, sometimes they are really, really bad. Now, in Austria, I believe they mark passable as with red, and no, black is,
I don't remember.
I would need to check. Jesse from Fearless Horsemanship, that guy is amazing. He basically told us if the trail's marked with red dots, you're good to go. If it's black, it's a scramble track, you'll never get a horse through. Get your local knowledge, think about things like that, and just consider, like, what am I walking my horse into? Am I going to have insurmountable obstacles in my path? Like every single motorway, the only place you can cross motorways is on bridges or under them, or you just can't cross autobahns, motorways, and things like that. And the reason why I suggest you have Maps.me is because Maps.me is fantastic in that it marks the roads in different colors. Now, we have what we call white roads, which are the smaller, the B roads, and there's a few different grades of white roads. The smaller the white road, the better for us. And then we have orange roads. Now, you cannot take a horse down an orange road. And crossing an orange road, you need to do that on a white road. So all of these obstacles, everything that's ahead of me, I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about the gradient of what I'm walking up or down. I don't like to walk down. I don't mind walking up hills because I can ride up hills. But walking down, I'm looking at it like, am I going to be doing 25 Ks today that's straight downhill? Because I'm going to have to get off the horse and walk the whole way down. I think about the altitude. Over 2,000 meters, you really do need to basically take, I would say, 30% off what you can do at sea level. For me personally, when I used to run my 2.4K required fitness level tests in the Army, at 1,000 meters, I would run about 9 minutes for 2.4 Ks, and I'd be down to 8:30 at sea level. So 30 seconds difference over 2.4 Ks for me. But we go up to 2,000 meters, and that difference is about a minute and a half. So consider all of these worst case things. And probably the most important thing in the considering who's Jesse? Jesse is the guy that runs Fearless Horsemanship. Google it on Facebook. The guy is an absolute gangster. Absolutely brilliant. I cannot recommend Fearless Horsemanship enough. The guy is on another level. There's very few male equestrians that I really respect and really look up to. That is a guy that could improve my horse and improve everything I do with him. So when he talks, I shut up and listen. He's a good dude, really good dude. But I'll continue. I digress. One of the most important things about assessing the worst case scenario is you never, ever, ever want to go through a section of trail or upper side of a mountain that you realize you can't go back down. So one of the big things we hate is stairs. We will never, ever go upstairs that we may have to come back down and can't do it. Stairs are an absolute killer for horses. And during one of our trips through Austria, 2 girls with some halflingers, they went a long way up some stairs, couldn't get back down, and had to have their horses rescued by helicopter. Now, I don't know what the bill for that would be, but it's not a bill I would like to pay. So I'm always thinking worst case. Am I going to hit a bluff that's going to stop me? Am I going to hit a motorway that's going to stop me? And the whole time I'm looking at a way to move like Anderson Silva while being like Stephen J, relaxed, moving like water, and just avoiding these obstacles, not having to overcome them. And then that takes me to probably the worst thing that we have to consider. And we still haven't even got the map out yet. Sorry, hang on, I'm going to have some vodka. It's excellent.
And this is why this stream is not for children.
Hey, we haven't sworn yet, so it's good. But I mean, children don't do the kind of stuff we do. The entire time Louisa and I have been riding together, we have planned for the worst case scenario. Louisa has been throughout very naive. She is very happy-go-lucky. She is a sweet girl that's never had to wash another man's blood off her hands.
I saw the hat.
And I think the world of her. But Louisa is incredibly naive. Louisa will say things like, "Oh, he was a really nice guy," and I'm like, "Yeah, well, he did want to fuck you." So I live in the world where I hope for the best, but I plan for the worst. And I have casualty evacuation plans and actions on for pretty much every single terrible thing that can happen to us. So one of the first things we did on our ride was we both changed our PIN numbers on our phones. So both of our phones can be opened by both of our faces and both of our PIN numbers. Now, I think that's great for a relationship right from the start. We have trust and so on and so forth. But what if Lou's fallen off, broken both legs, has a dislocated shoulder, and my phone's flat? That's not good. I need to be able to pick up Louisa's phone and make an emergency phone call. So I factor in things like, what if we've lost communications? I mean, there's tons of times when you won't have communications. How will I deal with it? You know, if we're in Kazakhstan, well, you just die. Or you could have a satellite phone that you could call someone to while you waited to just die. So make smart decisions. In the Alps, if you have a satellite phone and no communications, that's great. They'll send a helicopter to rescue you and your two halflingers off an Austrian mountain. But it's going to cost you a lot. Factor this stuff in. Worst case scenario, what am I going to do? What am I going to do if Louisa gets violently ill? Or like when I had just crossed into Italy, and I have a very severe reaction to MSG at times. I was doubled over in absolute agony. Jill had pretty much lost the ability to walk. Her little metal legs were rusted out. We had two arsehole horses and we had to get off a mountain. We had a plan for it. We got it sorted. We got down the hill. We got Jill to a vet. I flushed my system out with champagne and sparkling. So I come good. But you need to prepare for that stuff. And it's not just the worst case scenario. It's like, do I have access to a vet? Do I know where I can get a trailer in to pick up the horses if one's, cut a leg or, fallen over and had a serious injury? I'm always thinking of like, what am I going to do if I can't get a phone call out? All right, I'm going to run up that mountain and I'm going to get high ground. I'm going to get cell phone reception. What am I going to do if the phones are flat? Well, I've got enough charge in the battery banks. I'm constantly thinking and planning ahead for that scenario. So when something terrible happens, I'm not going to panic. The first thing I'm going to do is go, right, actions on in the situation are, Lou comes off, heaven forbid, breaks her femur, splits her femoral artery with the bone. First thing I'm going to do, where are the tourniquets?
In the front of our saddle on the right hand.
There you go. Front right hand pocket, tourniquet on. That'll be on in seconds. That's the difference between Louisa bleeding out without even any blood coming out of her and not. We have detailed actions on for every terrible thing that can happen to us. And we still haven't opened the map yet. So that's a big thing we think about. And then we come to the not so bad actions on. Actions on not finding good food at lunch. Do we press on or do we go back? Now, what's my term for when we keep going? I've said it to you a million times. See if you can remember it. Chasing.
Chasing ground.
So what we don't want to do is we don't want to chase ground. So, the perfect lunch spot will be just over the hill. And we'll often do an extra hour, hour and a half looking for the perfect lunch spot when that spot would have done. So for us, one of our big things is actions on finding a lunch spot early that's good enough. We'll take it. We go half an hour past it and we're like, no, we're going back. So actions on lunch spots not being adequate, not finding water. Like, what are you going to do? And like that, the worst time for water was in Kazakhstan when the lakes that were marked on the map were dried out and we went to the road workers, and I ended up, yeah. So we saw a road, and we saw some construction workers. We went over, and we got like liters of water. We got like 12 liters of water from the construction workers out of one of the construction vehicles. Like, having that plan in the back of your mind, I thought, like, what would I do if we can't get water and grass? Well, we're going to hit a main road. We're going to find someone that we can flag down, and we're going to ask for water. All of these little things, really, really, really essential. Absolutely essential.
This is where I find it's super cool. Like, outside of Europe, how many people have stopped in the car, like when we've just come across a road, when we haven't seen a road for like hours, and people stopped and asked, do you need anything? So roads are a good point even if you need water, like even oats, like especially like when we were in the Central Asia, you could go to the road, you stop the car, you ask them. So like this is it. In Europe, it's a bit different because it's easier to find most things anyway. But cars, stop a stranger and ask for help.
If you're two travelers with two horses on the side of a road, pretty much anywhere in the world, and you flag them down and say voda, Wasser, like, I mean, aqua, that they're going to hook you up. Okay. So we're getting towards getting our maps out now. So I go into a little bit I like to think called, what do I know? What previous knowledge do I have that I can use to plan for the route today? Have I been to Italy before? Yes, I have. There's lots of cool things about Italy. You know what? I'm going to get a good coffee today. At some point, I'm going to find a good coffee. I will be looking for a pizza restaurant, because the worst pizza restaurant in Italy is still better than the best pizza restaurant in England. That's a fact. Big thing I like, though, is local knowledge. Where did I stay last night? Was I at a barn? Did I talk to someone? Did I talk to a farmer? Did I have an opportunity to say, I'd like to go up this valley today? Is it good? Is it passable? What's the grass like? Oh, yeah, my uncle, he's a shepherd. He has his sheep up there at the moment. I'll give him a call. I will draw on as much local knowledge as I possibly can. Yeah, I'm here. Hey, how you doing? As much local knowledge as I possibly can. And the country info is bloody good one. And like, I mean, it draws you onto what assumptions can you make? Hey, we've had really good rain lately. It's beautiful and sunny. We've got great grass here. We're traveling at the same altitude up the same valley. A good assumption to make is we're going to find the same sort of grass further ahead.
I like to say when we talk about local knowledge, we do prefer to rely on the own local knowledge we have gained over the past few days traveling through the country. Because taking people's advice, like a lot of people are kind and they mean very well, but a lot of people do not understand what it means to travel with a horse.
Well, Romania, best example. Oh yeah, no, people get horses up there all the time. The fuck they do.
Well, they probably did, but they weren't. They were horses that were born in the mountains and
born in a boulder field. It was just rocks and leg breakers, and we're like, no, we're out. So good point, Lou. I mean, take that stuff with a grain of salt. But when it comes to what do I know, again, we go back to what would Anderson Silva do? What we know is horses move like water. They want the path of least resistance. Now, navigation on horseback is not A to B. It's A to B via C, D, E, F through H and then back to B. Animal movement is really, really important. Animals follow rivers and ridges. When you think about game trails in the forest, they sidle around the hill. They don't go over it to the other side, okay? Humans will look at a map, and if they're poor at reading maps, they will see the shortest route from A to B is a straight line. It's not. It's very rarely a straight line. It's normally around the hill. It's down the river and then onto the really good forestry road that's going to take us straight up there rather than going up onto the dodgy forestry road, following the game trail around, maybe finding a track that's marked as a hiking track, that so on and so forth. So the big sort of what do I know thing here is, it's like, I know my horse is going to want to take an easy path and I'm going to find it for it. And I factor that in to still not picking up the map, but almost. Now we go for the most likely, the best case, and the worst case scenario for the day. I've got a goal. I've made some assumptions. I've used a bit of local knowledge. I've factored in my worst case scenario. I know how my horse is feeling, how my wife's feeling. Don't care. She's going to be gangster anyway. And I'm going to look at, right, okay, what's the most likely outcome for today? Most likely, we're going to keep following this river. It's all going to go nicely. It'll be great. Best case scenario, we find an amazing pub that's got a huge grassy bit out the front of it. And they're like, stay as long as you want. The Swedish netball teams turned up. Swedish beach volleyball teams turned up in their training. And I'm like, all right, best case scenario. Best case scenario really happens. We normally focus on the most likely, but we also worry about the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is by lunch, we're in deep trouble. And in that case, we'll often turn back to a firm base. If you've come from a night spot where you had grass, you had food, you had water, things were okay, there is no shame in turning back, finding another way around. But I like to factor those three things in. And then when I look at my most likely, I'll often pick a spot, particularly using Maps.me, having searched equestrian sports, where I'm like, you'll often find like equestrian centers that are in a little cluster, particularly in Europe. It's rare to see like one or two on its own. There'll normally be 4 or 5 or within sort of 5 or 6 Ks of each other. My most likely way of finding a night spot is I'll aim for that and I'll go for it. And it's most likely we'll be able to find a night spot relatively easily. So yeah, once I've factored that in, I make sure I've got my different potential night spots, and I'll constantly adjust throughout the day. If I get new information, I'll start changing things, which finally brings us to maps. Lou said she wanted me to about half an hour at 32 minutes, so I think I've done all right. Maps. So I use 2 programs on the phone for maps. I use Maps.me, which is loading up now. Maps.me is absolutely brilliant if it's not slow to load, simply because Maps.me it's got all the contours and things that I need. Oh, hang on, sorry. That's weird. That's on like a crazy angle. It's got all the contour information that I need.
Why don't you guys open Maps.me?
Okay.
And then let's give them a chance to open it.
Okay, it gives me a chance to have another
Give them a chance to have a drink.
I'm having nachos next, so I'm switching to Corona. I can't wait. Maps.me is absolutely fantastic, even if you have to hold it on an angle like that. There you go. That's working. There you go.
There you go.
It's got the contour lines. So map visualization. That's a skill that you absolutely have to have as a horseback navigator. You need to be able to look at the contour lines and visualize what the land looks like, okay? Because the gradient of the track ahead of you is absolutely essential. Now, remember, we're not following roads for the most part. We're trying to avoid them. So if you're taking forestry roads, some of them are going to be pretty dodgy. The simple rule with contour lines is the closer together they are, the steeper the ground is, the further apart they are, the better it is for you and the smoother it is. But what you want to look for is the trails and the roads that follow the contour lines, not cross them. So that's often a really, really great way to get yourself around hills quite quickly. This will have stairs marked on it when you put it in the walking route. You also have the option of having bicycles and walking and cars and public transport and that. I like to switch between bikes and cars just to see, because the bikes will avoid the stairs and things like that. And I'll try and pick a mix of the routes that best suit me. What I'll also do is if I find something that I want to go to get around a city or something like that, I simply just drop a pin and add a stop. So it's a very simple program to use. And then all I do is I use Google Earth to then do what I call a map recce. So because you have your satellite view, you can see what the ground's like. I can look and I can see if there's clearings. I can see if they're actually forest tracks or it's just forest and there's no trails. And I really don't do anything particularly magical with the map part. what I do with the navigation that really sets what we do apart from what a lot of other people do, I'm relaxed. I'm trying to move like water, and I'm not afraid to change my plans. Now, I view navigation like dating. So Louisa is German. She wants to know when her date is picking her up and what restaurant she's going to and what she needs to wear and where they'll be going afterwards. Me, I like to smash some beers with the boys, head out, hit a club, see where the night takes me. But at the end of the day, you need to make the same considerations. Have I got cash on me? What am I going to do if I lose my phone? Have I got money for a taxi home? Those sorts of things. You have your worst case scenario, you have your best case scenario. And when you stop and think about it, that's actually pretty true. If you're going out on a blind date versus a structured date, you do make a lot of similar sort of considerations. And I think it's important you find what works best for you. And I think that the way that we navigate, although it's different from the people that do like the more structured, more planned out rides, I think that there is so much that's applicable to both of them, you know? And although different strategies, well, we ended up together. So, yeah. Right. So one other little trick that I think is really, really important. I think it's one of the most valuable things you can know about navigating is a little thing that I call aim off. If there's a road going like this and you're down here and you're trying to find it and you sort of want to head in this direction, you are always better to just sort of know a road's to your left or your right, go and hit it and just go down that. That's something we use in the bush a lot, but navigation really isn't so much about reading a map, because at the end of the day, you can just Google map tutorials. There's a million map tutorials that will teach you how to read a map. But teaching you how to think differently about navigation, that's something that I think I'm pretty good at, because I don't get lost. I mean, I get lost at sea, but that's because I trust the pirates. But yeah, getting lost on land, like I really don't get lost. It really, really works well. And I just think there's this big misconception that I'm like the bold one of the two of us, and that I'm egotistical and wanting to go fast, and all of this crazy stuff. It's actually not true. Louisa is actually far more bolder than me. I'm the one that turns us around 99% of the time. I'm the one that stops us before we get in trouble, and I am incredibly conservative. Now, the reason I'm so conservative is because of a saying that I think of a lot. There's old soldiers and there's bold soldiers, but there's no old, bold soldiers. You'll get yourself in trouble really, really fast if you do stuff that's beyond you. And I don't do that. Still to this day, I don't take unnecessary risks. I like to be sensible, slow. I like to think things through, and I like to make decisions that keep both me and Louisa safe. Would you bring it up there, Lou?
I'll come to it in a minute.
Okay. But yeah, I said it'd be about 45 minutes, and we're at 38 minutes and ready for questions. Is there anything you want to add there, Louisa? But that's Pete's philosophy on navigation. And as I've said throughout, it's not so much about knowing how to read a map well. It's knowing how to read your surroundings. It's knowing how to read your team. It's knowing how to admit your failings and your skills, and acknowledging everything that goes into actually planning the route. And the dumbest thing you can do is try and do 35 kilometers on a horse that's good for 15 when you've got no idea how to even get out of the bloody driveway. So, yeah, Lou.
Well, thank you, honey. We will come to the question part in a minute. Pete told me you need Maps.me and Google Earth for this webinar. He hasn't used it too much in explanation. I actually would have an idea here that I'd like to bring in.
Mm-hmm.
You guys just open your Maps.me for me, please. I'm going to go with slow.
Google Earth for you, so you
can
use that as well.
Because the idea, we use Maps.me and Google Earth, and at the end, it doesn't matter what kind of maps program you use. You need to familiarize yourself with it. Why we love Maps.me. If you guys have it open, I put it in the chat. Put your starting point, longride. That's where we at. And your read as your end goal, and collect the routes through the hiking. For the people who have the chat open, can write in the chat. Please give me a thumb up or a smiley if you have it looking like it. One moment, I have to do it again as well. Yeah. Oops. Let me see. It looks like this. Oh, okay, when you're on your phone. Well, maybe I do it then as a little exercise I pass on to you. Or are there some people who can do it now with me and have their phone open? Awesome. I'm not sure if you guys can't get it open or if you are working on it, or I need a bit of feedback here, please. All right, we did. Okay. Okay, that's a problem. Use on your phone and use destinations you have. Say, put in the town you live in and another town that is like 10-15 kilometers away. And then let's match me on screen. I would love to be able to do that, but it's my first live. And I'm a little bit overwhelmed with such technical things. I'll work on that. I put it on my list for the next one, that I can open the screen and show it to you on the screen. Okay. Sorry. First one. If you do it like try it once we're finished, open it up, download the region where you're at, because you can download a few free maps, and then just play a little bit around. Put in a destination point, get the walking route, get the bicycle route, and because you know the area, you will start to learn to read the map. You will start to understand like what it actually means with the contour lines. If you actually have it on the map and go through it, like test your map in an area that you know, and then you will learn what are orange roads. We know what orange road are. We have been on all different orange road, and we know, oh, that's a small orange road, oh, that's a big orange road, but on the map they're just orange roads. Yeah, you got a really good point, Lou, and you can do this in the car, you can do this on the push bike, and one of the big things I always recommend people do is orientate the map to the ground. Okay, so when you'll see in all the photos of me, I'm always holding the phone flat like this, and I'll be looking up at the hills and things like that. So I'm doing what's called a visual recce, where I'm looking at the land ahead of me, and I've got my map orientated to what I'm looking at, and I'm picturing where I'm going and what I'm going through. So just learning to do that, that's stuff that you can do on a push bike. Doing it on a horse it's really the worst way because it's so freaking slow. But we hope to run a bit more detailed navigation courses here on the farm in the future, and we'll be doing it out of the cars. And yeah, we can do some on horseback too, but we'll be going for a ride around the forest, and we will be having our phones out like this. We will be orientating ourselves. We'll be planning our routes accordingly. We'll drive them in the little four-wheel drive. We'll do them on push bikes, whatever. And we can firsthand teach you how to use those map programs and really visualize what you're looking at on the map. I can't do that over YouTube. It's just not that simple. It's cutting a lot for me, but you're in Brazil. Yeah, well, I mean, you're in Brazil. Awesome. I don't know what time it is in Brazil, but cheers. in my second one before Pete came in,
Ruined it.
Then after you have like starting to play with Maps.me, that's where Google Earth comes in so important, because you double check your map. You want two maps to play along, and we just use Maps.me and Google Earth because Google Earth gives us a bit of a visual, especially for lunch spots. Like, are there green spots?
Yeah.
Like, is it a field? Like, is it a grass field or is it a cornfield? Like, there's some farming areas where you just don't find grass, and you're like, why? You're in a farming area, but they farm corn. So this is all stuff you can see with the map, and this is why we recommend Google Earth and Maps.me. And I strongly, especially after this, just open it and start playing around. Start playing around with start, finishing point. You can add points in the middle to direct your route. Like, it's actually quite awesome. And the better you know your map program, in addition with all the things then to consider, the better you will be off later.
And again, this is another saying that I have from my hunting career. Beware of a man that only owns one gun, because he probably knows how to use it. We've used Maps.me from the start. It works. We stick with it. We do our visual recce's with our eyes. We do our map recce's with Google Maps, and we use Maps.me for our navigation. And someone's asking about the GR walking routes. I'm sorry, I don't know what GR walking routes are, but I'm always very wary of walking routes. Walking routes often contain these magical little signs with a horse on them and some red and a line through it. They also have stairs. They also have scramble tracks. So I try to avoid walking routes as much as possible. I love bike trails because I really don't give a fuck about cyclists' feelings. And cyclists go on flat, beautiful bits of ground that should be for horses. So, yeah, I mean, we were around before bikes. So, but that's just me. I'm not the nicest person all the time. Bike routes are fantastic. For me and Lou, I know there's some really beautiful trails through the mountains, little scramble tracks and all of that. And people like to feel like they're on this great big gangster adventure. But for us personally, we love the forestry roads. I love being on a road that the horse can just always have sure footing, that I can ride up this beautiful forestry road. And the roads in Italy in particular, those forestry roads were just gorgeous. Yeah.
Also the mental, the harder the routes, the more mental stressful it becomes for you and your horse. That's also a taxing thing that you then need to consider.
Takes us back to point number one. Factor in your team. What have you done for the last day? What have you done for the last 7 days? And I think our worst day in Europe for me was the 13 hours we spent getting off that mountain in Italy, when we couldn't find anywhere where we could get grass coming down that real windy road. And we ended up staying in that lucerne field full of red deer. And you walked like 2 Ks to a supermarket, come back with a shitty pizza. And we just hit out and said, yeah. And the deer everywhere. Yeah. We stayed just off a bike trail. You want to avoid that. That's not great, but that can happen so easily. Yeah.
So now you can write your questions in the chat. I mean, if you want to elaborate what the GR walking routes are, maybe we can talk more about it, but I think Pete already covered it. Are there any other questions? Just give him a second. I need to type.
I have a question. Are we doing these nachos or what?
I need a minute.
We'll cook some good nachos tonight. GR footpaths are the network of long-distance walking trails in Europe, mostly in France, Belgium, Netherlands, and Spain. They go by the names French. That's answered.
It isn't fully, because we do love those tracks. We don't necessarily follow them, but often the way Pete navigates us, we do end up on them, because they do go through forest roads. They do go through little villages, and you can restock. They're actually awesome paths, but we have never just been okay, we follow that one path.
Yeah, and find your preference. I mean, find your flavor. Everyone rides differently. I often think of the old Chinese guy, the way he was traveling around. For him, his whole trip was about taking selfies in cities with his horse. And for us, we don't want to go anywhere near cities. What we like is we like rural people. That's for me, that's the best part of it. Like, I mean, one of my favorites is, remember the dude with the accordion, Austrian mountain?
Yeah.
This dude was just jamming his heart out on an accordion. We had Schweinhaxe for dinner. We sung some beers. We slept on the worst little hillside. Just a magical moment. Just in France, that gorgeous young lady, she bought her guest. She's 19 years old. Gorgeous little blonde bird, speaks German, English, French. She's bought a guest house. She brews her own schnapps, and she served us these little cheese balls and things. We had the most incredible lunch. That's what I love, and that's what I seek. But ride your ride. Don't ride our ride. Don't ride, Chinese guy selfie in front of statue of Napoleon ride. Do what you love, do what you love, and factor that into your navigation. And that's why I think navigation shouldn't just be about reading a map. It should be about going through those considerations. Consider your horse, consider the worst case, keep yourself safe, consider the best case. That is the secret to navigation. And there's just so many people repeating the same thing of, this is how you read a map, this is how you plan a route. And it's just not that way for me. And that's why we have literally never had a problem with our navigation, ever. Except when Smokey fell off the cliff. Yeah, that was
an accident, and accidents can always happen.
He walked up a sandy bank. Was it navigation's fault? It was, really. I'd failed to consider how difficult that section of river was to cross. And of all of my navigation errors, that is the one that haunts me. That, and in Kazakhstan, there was a marked crossing of a canal that we needed to do a 15-kilometer detour and then a 15-kilometer back to cross an impassable canal. You'll get it wrong.
Live and learn.
And it's one thing we pride ourselves on, is when I get it wrong, I put my hand up and I own it. Not perfect, close.
All right, we have some questions now. What are we doing if we have the feeling our horses get sick?
Stop and fix it.
So, and assess it.
Now, one of the biggest failures I've had personally is with Marengo. We had gone up a Romanian mountain. My fault. I was very ambitious. I really wanted to see the bison. We knew there were wild bison up there. We knew they were on the other side of the mountain. People had told us we could go through. We got as far up the mountain as we were going to get that day. There was a beautiful guest house and campground there. We had a really great spot to stop. There was more than enough grass for one night. I took the saddle off, Marengo rolled, and he come up with a hornet stinging him. I went and grabbed it off him, and in seconds, it was like an egg. It was half an egg where a hornet had stung him right on the side of his withers. Treated it with hydrocortisone, put some ice on it, calmed him down. He was fine. And the next day we pressed on up the hill. And that was one of the days when we quit. We got far enough up to know we weren't getting any further. We turned around and we came back to our previous night spot. The grass wasn't great. I had failed to do my job correctly. And the next day we headed back down the mountain. But I put the saddle on that horse for 2 days. And the wear that I put on him over that hornet sting resulted in him losing fur. And that has resulted in Marengo having a white patch that I caused because I didn't stop and I didn't properly assess everything I've talked about with you guys tonight. Was it a navigation failure, a horseman failure, all of the above? I think it was all of the above, but I own it. And if you've got any doubts, it's the same with shooting, okay? So a lot of my references come from the military and for shooting. If you're lining up a deer and in the back of your mind, you're like, ooh, not sure if this shot's safe to take. There is no doubt. If there is any doubt, there is no doubt. You do not take the shot. With horses, if you have doubt, stop. If you think the horse is sick, if you think the horse is colicking, treat it. If you think the horse is hungry, if something's wrong, stop, sort it out, deal with it, and then press on, because we ride for weeks, months, years, whatever.
And the point is, we have said it, as a long ride, you don't always just have available what you need, but then your sole goal is to find that. You change your route, and your whole goal when we're talking about the navigation is to find a spot where you can rest your horse and get it checked by a vet. That's your sole goal from there on.
Weather.
Now, 1 second. How do you find good rest spots? This is a bigger topic because there's a lot of considerations to be done there again as well. I think just to quickly cover it, you need to know what you need. Like what
Strong. That's strong.
do you need an equestrian center? Like then you need to look for equestrian centers. If you can't fence your horses off, like does your horse, if you travel alone, can your horse stay alone? Can your horse see other horses? Do you need food? Like, are you relying on hard feed because your horse is at the moment is dropping weight, or you have done a hard day? Then you need to find somewhere where you can find hard food. Are you unsure with this area? Like, are you scared of the people? Is it not safe? Then you need to consider, can you find a spot a little bit away, like from a village, from a city? So there's so many considerations that I think we do another webinar. If you guys have liked that here.
The girl is good. Lou just killed that. Short answer, what we need is 11 by 22 meters. We have our horses on tethers. We can shorten them. That's about as small as we can go. We like to have an 11 meter tether, so 2 22 meter circles. So about 45 by 22 meters is perfect for us. The boys can graze till their hearts are content on that. And we need water. That's the minimum we need. We will sleep in the dirt. We don't care.
Yeah.
But ride your ride. Don't do what we do. Do what you need to feel comfortable. We'd do another one on that. Night spots alone.
Yeah, if you guys want.
Weather. That's another one.
Yeah.
Weather. Firstly, trust your gut is the biggest thing I'll say concerning weather. There's so much you need to factor into it. For us, like we've set off on a beautiful sunny morning, a little bit of drizzle comes in, we climb 1,000 meters and we're in a snowstorm. Do your weather appreciation much like your navigation appreciation. Weather is something you really need to factor in, and don't trust the weather app on Apple iPhones because it's shit. It's very shit.
I go and look on weather.com. Again, their weather can change, so we do check the weather very regular, especially on a day that we are not sure about. We keep checking the weather every other hour. We just see how it's changing, and when you can see the radar, if it's questionable, we don't go up mountains. Yep. Like that again,
Same
it comes into safeties.
Don't go upstairs, you might have to go back down. Don't go up a mountain, you might have to run back down.
If, like, I like to, because I'm a bit of a sook, I hate wet weather. Like, I like to make my rest day. So when I see there's 3 days of rain coming, I consider, okay, the first day I can still do. Then at night, I'm trying to find a spot. Sometimes in the situation, I call ahead. So I know for sure I have a place where then I can stay and be dry. And then I plan my rest day.
Yep.
Could be that it hammers down rain. Could be that the next day the app says, oh, the weather is not that bad.
Long riding's not a journey, like not a destination. It's a journey. And if you have to take 3 days because it's pissing rain, take 3 days because your horses will be stronger. And that factors into the, what have my horses done for the last day? What have they done for the last 7 days? What have they done for the last 28 days? Well, it's been raining and they've had 3 days off with oats. Pete's just been, like playing his little aeroplane game on his phone and drinking beer and talking shit on the internet. So he's good to go. What have I done? Oh, my washing. I've caught up on all my social media stuff. I've done our taxes. I've, all the loose stuff. And you're good to go. You go strong. Like, just because you get like rained off or anything like that, it doesn't have to be something that takes away from the trip. It's something that can actually be used, if done right, to strengthen you for the next step. What else we got?
How many days in advance do you plan the route?
6-7 minutes at a time. I live my life one Facebook post at a time. No, seriously, not at all. We choose to move in a way that suits us very nicely, which is like absolute freedom. If we find the perfect spot, we just take it. On the last ride, there is one spot that I guarantee she will name straight away that I regret not staying at for a lunch stop.
I don't know.
Lunch
Pressure.
Stop.
I don't know. The llama, the alpaca place.
Yeah, there we go. So we missed a great spot just because we had plans. if you make plans, plans can restrict other beautiful things from happening.
Yeah, but plans, like, tell me if I'm wrong. We do look at the map a little bit, like we choose a destination. Say we want
absolutely.
to go
you need to have
wedding.
A goal. You need
like,
to set a goal. Yes.
We wanted to go to the wedding in Moran, so we know that is the that is the path we're doing. Then we look, okay, on the way to Moran, we come past. If you just look loosely at a map, there's an area we have friends in, and we want to see them, and we want to stay there. That was about a week ahead, so we put that as our aiming point. So we do have like weekly aims, I would say. You do 3 days, 4 days, depending where we are, where we choose the direction we travel. But the exact routes, they do change.
Absolutely.
But the frame
daily,
is set.
By the hour, by the minute.
And at the night before, you normally do a route recce, and in the morning you have a pretty good idea. You have decision points. Like there's so much more.
Decision points. That's something I failed to mention.
But there's so much more, and I think there will be like, I don't want it to be confusing now.
But decision points is actually a really, really important thing that Louise has raised, because I talk about it with her all of the time. Often along our route, we'll have what we call a decision point. That's it. Are we taking the left fork or the right fork? Are we going ahead or are we stopping here? Is this where we have lunch, or do we press on to the next point? And we are constantly adjusting throughout the day. And those decision points are something that we use a lot, but that really is another entire video in itself. There is so much more we can do. What I would love to do, like when Louisa first suggested we do some navigation courses and things like that, I was like, I can't. It takes hours, hours and examples and all of that. And I think the webinar idea, which was completely Louisa's, was really good. I really like it. I think it was a good idea. But if people want more,
let's get some feedback. Did you learn something? Was that helpful here tonight for you? We would appreciate if you can give us feedback. If you didn't like it, tell us as well. We are honest people. We like honest feedback. I mean, we try things. That's how we do it. I mean, that's why we're here. Thank you, definitely. That's why I couldn't share my screen, because I've never done it before.
Oh, we don't know what we're doing, and we absolutely admit that. But I mean, long riding for us isn't about being the best in the world or anything like that. It's about being better than we were before. Like every single day we get up and we try and be better than what we were yesterday. We've grown so much. It takes honest self-reflection. It takes a lot of constructive criticism and some pretty brutal criticism from others as well. But we take it all on board. And this isn't like a race we're trying to win or anything like that. We love what we do. We absolutely love what we do. We're really passionate about it. And honestly, I've spent well over 1,000 days with this woman and our horses and our dog in some of the most beautiful parts of Europe. And I've won at life. I have completely won. I want for nothing. I want for absolutely nothing. But it feels empty that I don't get to share it with enough people. And I just wish that more people could just give me a nod and be like, I know, bro. I know. And I would love for you all to experience what we've experienced. And if we can help and share that, then and that's how you win at life, man. It's like, I value experiences and relationships, and I have the best experiences and the best relationships. And that's what I seek in life. So it's really awesome that, people come along and watch this, and I'm really glad that people take something from it.
Yeah, thank you for your time. I just appreciate 1 second. I hope you don't disappear. Because what I wanted to do, but I would love things to be a bit more detailed with regards to the nav.
If you want more detail with the nav, honestly, it's such a huge thing. I would love to get more detail with the navigation, and it frustrates me because Lou's been asking me to give more detail. And the problem is, it's like every single question you ask opens up another question, and I would love to do it in person. It's hours, and we're going to try and do it, right?
Yeah.
Lou wants to put a course together, and I'm behind it. I back her in everything she does.
What we tried to do here today was an introduction. It was a little bit of a, how do we look at navigation? Because when I asked Pete first to do something with us, to explain it to me and explain it a bit more to the world, because I mean, we have written books, and I was like, how can we share it better that people actually get a better understanding of navigation? Can break it down for me. And he's like, oh, it's impossible, it's so much. And we're just working on breaking it down. And here today it was an introduction. And if there's an interest, and that's my question for you guys, send us an email. Like I popped past our contact form that you can go in. Firstly, we would love feedback, such as if you said a little bit more detail, we take it on board. We will try to include that with the next webinar we're doing. If you're interested and be like, yes, I like how you do navigation and I want to learn more, we do want to offer a course. Like we do want to do it in person, offer it here on the weekend, but we also, I think there's a lot of detail you can get in beforehand. So we do want to do an online course. If there's interest, write us an email. Please give us feedback to that webinar as honest as possible. And secondly, if you're interested in either like to do a navigation course for what in person, write us an email. Write us an email if you're interested in the online course and what you would expect from it. And I can just we can just start talking, and you can be part of the online course we're going to put out in mid-February. But otherwise, I think that did something else come in, or was it all? Oh,
I think that's
wonderful. I think we're going to wrap it up. An hour. Hey, thank you.
Eat some nachos.
I was so excited. For tonight. So thank you for being here.
And just
Thanks
remember,
for sharing it.
What would Stephen J do, team? He'd relax.
Relax.
And Anderson Silva would move like water. Now, I know I say a lot of really random, weird things. Trust me, I say them for a reason, okay? Like, one of the secrets, I'm going to give away the secret to long riding right now. Okay, you know what it is. Anytime I'm having a terrible day, I picture a Tyrannosaurus Rex trying to put on a hat. The loves. And he can't do it. He can't do it. And for me, it is impossible to be sad picturing a Tyrannosaurus Rex trying to put on a hat. And you are going to have so many moments like that on a long ride. If you can't just stop, have a smile, and love the fact that you're out there doing it when no one else is, then you may as well go home. So relax, move like water, and picture a Tyrannosaurus Rex trying to put a hat on.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Good night, guys. Thanks for joining us. Ciao.